Welcome back to another Fabulous Return. I'm Jacob J. Book Square, and today we're talking about the 11 books I read in April, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. Starting off, I guess we'll just start from the bottom and work our way up in chronological order. So the first book that I did was a reread. It was a reread for Tower of Dawn. So I wanted a refresh. Or did Empire Storms also come out this month? I think Empire Storms came out. It might have come out this month. If so, then I reread it when I reread Empire Storms, but it was also a refresh for like Tower of Dawn and getting back into King of Ash. Either way, that'd be Empire Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This was a 5-star. I have a whole video talking about it, so I'm just gonna point you over there. I'll probably link the playlist of Throne of Glass just because there's like a lot of different videos in here. If not, then they'll be individualized in the cards. I did not know if you guys are on mobile and or on the browser, if you guys scroll to the very bottom and you miss the cards up in the corner, which is fine, they're actually linked. So all the videos I'm talking about are also linked down below. You just have to scroll to the very bottom of the description. So you just have to open it wide. That was Empire Storms. I've already talked about Empire Storms quite a bit. I read it back in December in preparation for all this, and then I just finished all these books in April. So I did reread because it's been a few months. Then I read Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas, and I reread Tower of Dawn, but also like I finished it because the first time I read it, I read like the first half, and then I kind of like skimmed the last little bit, and so a lot of it didn't stick with me. Is the real answer. I remember bits and pieces at the beginning, but ultimately it was very like hacky packy, and so because I want to get the vlog up this month, I just started it over. I reread the whole thing, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself the second time more than the first time out of the tangent read, but it still got like a 3.5, 3.25. It's a 3.5. It's definitely more like a political fantasy than a action political fantasy, which is mostly what Throne of Glass novels are for Sarah J. Maas. This one very much, because it does follow a completely different character and set in a completely different part of this world, is much more about the politics, and there is like very little action throughout the like 600 or 700 pages. I still don't understand the value of this book when it could have just been a novella and or tagged on for an extra like 200 pages Empire Storm. I would love to see what people think of the reasons why Tower of Dawn is made. I know some people think it's like their favorite book of the entire series, one of their favorite books Sarah J. Maas has ever written. So if that's the case, obviously you're going to disagree with me on that. But my thing here after finishing the Kingdom of Ash, which we'll talk about a little later in this video, I don't know. I just didn't see the point. The next one we're going to talk about is going to pop up here on the screen, the next few. This was for a video I read by sci-fi, and I'll link it as well. And so one of those books in that video was Benti by Nadine Okafor. I'm so sorry for pronouncing that really wrong. I rated this one a 4. I really liked Benti. I liked the character of Benti. I liked the different religions and backgrounds that we discussed in Benti. I liked the discussion of sci-fi in Benti. It was very light sci-fi, but also... No, actually, that's a lie. It was very heavy sci-fi, but it was like fun and fast, and it was very like nice. I think it comes in around like 112 pages, and it definitely fits its runtime, and it's great. And I had a great time while reading it, and I just had a blast, to be honest with you, with Benti. It's about a girl who ends up getting accepted into a school on a different planet than the planet that she is born on, and her team of people, they only stick on that planet because they're people who can manufacture, they can come up with like these cool inventions and make them happen really, really fast through the power of technology and sci-fi, and that's kind of what she is, and that's why she got gifted into this school. And she ends up going on this journey, and it's about her journey to the school and some other stuff as well, and it was really good, really shocking, lots of good twists. I recommend. The next one is A Solemn for the Wild Build by Becky Chambers. I did not really enjoy this one as much as I was hoping to. I wanted a cozy sci-fi. I'm still looking for those, so if you guys have any recommendations, please let me know in the comments down below. And I thought maybe this is going to be like what I was looking for, and this is in the vein. I would describe this as cozy sci-fi. I think this is more about a person who is going out and trying to figure out themselves. It's really about self-discovery, the values of like people, and what it means to love something, and why our brains can move on so fast, and why we have this desire to continue to move past whatever we're at in our life, the desire to achieve more. And it's about this person as they go throughout this world of, they left their entire family behind, they left everything behind to become like this tea merchant who sits there and offers people tea, and as they talk about all of their problems with their cats or with their people or their marriage or whatever it might be, and they end up realizing that they personally just they're not skilled enough to do this job, and so they end up going on this journey to become skilled enough to do this job, but also they end up meeting a person, a thing along the way, and you get to hear that conversation between what their life is like and the other person's life is like, and why you should take value in the few things that you can without having to run away from them, and also to chase your dreams, but also realize that sometimes dreams are unachievable and things are those lines. I don't know if that's exactly what this was about. I did space a little bit, but that was kind of my graspings for for the Wild Build. I would count it as cozy sci-fi, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted, so it was a really big disappointment. And also, it's the only one out of the sci-fis, except for Gideon the Ninth, which we'll talk about later, that I personally spaced out through. So, and that, I'd say, takes a lot. The next one I'm talking about is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This one follows a murder bot. That's what this whole series is about. And this murder bot is fucking hilarious. They don't like killing, which is hilarious because they're a murder bot. They also have these social cues that are really awkward, which I thought was really funny. And they get all their information from sitcoms, which, you know what, also same. And so like they're lying to like all these people, and it's just a fucking good time. I'm not gonna lie to you. I rated this one like a 3.5, I think. But in reality, like on retrospection, I think it's probably more like a 4. I think a 3.5 is good enough for good reads. I still really liked it. I recommend, and I'm curious to see where the series is going. It is called the Murderbot Diaries, and so I have to wonder if it follows this singular Murderbot, or if we're jumping between Murderbots. I thought the mission was really cool. There's a lot of action and a lot of like gore and stuff in it, which was nice. The next one I'm talking about is Kindred, a graphic novel adaptation by Damon Duffy. I think the original book is by Octavia Butler. I don't know if that's exactly right, but I was supposed to read this one for that 5 sci-fi video, and I actually ended up reading 6 for that, and so this one got cut because this is the one I like the least, and I have the least about to say about it. So like a 6-minute clip or a 4-minute clip or something, and I was just like, it's just not worth it, so I moved on. This one, I don't know if I recommend the graphic novel. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but I would recommend the physical novel. I've not read it yet, but I have a feeling it's better. I just didn't vibe with the graphic novel. I didn't like the illustration, which I think is always important when you're reading a graphic novel. And then I also really did not enjoy like the way the story was told in graphic novel format. It was mostly just the illustrations and the way I had to read it. I had to read it through Scribd as a graphic novel, and I'm never doing it again. It really did ruin the experience. I thought the story was pretty cool. I liked the concept of it. It follows a black woman who is sent backwards in time in blinks, where she has to save her ancestors from slavery and a bunch of other stuff. And then you go forward in time, and it's about you go forwards in time, and she's like in this relationship, and you're kind of going backwards and forth, and she can't control when she goes backwards in time. And so that's what the sci-fi angle here is, the time travel stuff. And I'm not sure how much I feel about time travel, to be fair. And to me, that's another reason why this one rubbed me the wrong way, but I feel like it could be fucking phenomenal. And I think there might be a 5 in here, and so I definitely have plans to pick it up again. Next one we're talking about is Gideon the Ninth. This is the first book in the Locked Tombs trilogy by Terrison Menmir. I think it's a trilogy. It might be a series. I don't really know. And I read it, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I gave it like a 4.5, I think is what it came out to be. I mean, I fucking love Gideon. Gideon is by far one of my new favorite characters. Like, she is fucking phenomenal as a character. Also, I don't think people talk about it enough. This book is very gay, or very queer. I'm going to use the word queer here because there's like a lot of different types of relationships. I think queer is more broader of a spectrum. So it's very queer, and I could not recommend it enough for that regard, in case you're looking for sci-fi that has like a lot of like queer representation in it. Almost a lot of ones that I read this in that 5 sci-fi video did, but this one was the most. It has a very beautiful relationship through a through line, which is very complicated, and it's really well structured and very complex. The story itself is really hard to follow, which a lot of people complain about it. You have to read it like 3 times to really understand it, from what I understand. And with Gideon the Ninth, it follows Gideon as she is about to escape. This is the opening of the book. She is about to escape from her horrible life with Haro, and Haro ends up blackmailing her again to join this school where they have to go into these tombs to figure out like all these different mysteries and stuff. And you get to learn about all the different worlds inside this school on a spaceship. And I thought it was really cool to see necromancy in space, as that is not something I've ever thought about before. But we think about necromancy in like a sci-fi, like in a fantasy world, not in a sci-fi world. So I thought that was really cool. I thought the magic here, for the mixtures between sci-fi and fantasy that was involved in Gideon the Ninth, was handled extremely well. I really liked it. I just didn't think some of the character actions by the end made sense. And also, I kind of blanked towards the middle, and I think I did miss a few pieces of the puzzle. So not everything checked out for me personally. But overall, it was a great time. I fucking loved it. The next one we're going to talk about is A Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I want to know, before I jump into this, do you guys want my reread discussion video for it? I did film it. I was listening to it. I didn't delete the footage of it, and I was kind of going through it, and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty good. I actually don't mind what I was saying here. I thought I did, and I didn't. It would be a 2-parter, or it'd be 2 sections, so we would be reviewing the book in the movie, only because I think that the movie would be better. I'm going to say right now, I did not like this. This one came out to be about a 3 on reread. A 2.75 to a 3, which really sucks. I really hate rating books that I truly loved 5 stars, not great. There's just a lot of descriptions in here that I didn't really enjoy from John Green's writing. I think John Green's writing in general, I just don't like anymore. I just don't think it's good. I mean, it's good. It's good writing. He's not a bad writer. It's just not my cup of tea. It's very Tumblr-esque. It came out at the perfect time. It blew up at the perfect time. I'm excited to watch the movie. So if you guys want me to finish that video and post it in May, let me know in the comments down below. And I totally can, because I didn't mind the first section that I already filmed. that's The Fault in Our Stars. You guys know what The Fault in Our Stars, right? This is about Hazel as she is dealing with cancer, and she ends up meeting Augustus at one of these meetings, and it's about the relationship and all the chaoticness that follows. It's very sad. It's supposed to make you cry. For a long time there, a lot of people recommend it for people who wanted to cry because that was like a big thing. I just didn't get it. Then I did get it when it first came out. I read it in like a single day, and I loved it, and I read it like 3 times back to back, and I just adored it. And the movie came out, and it's like one of the best adaptations that I've ever seen. And so like I feel like that's the reason why it's gonna be better, because the parts I don't like about it here in the book might translate better into a movie. Moving on to Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. This is the final book in the Throne of Glass series, and I fucking adored it. It was a 5-star. The spoiler review should be coming out relatively soon. I don't know exactly when. There are 45 clips. Most of them are 6 minutes long, so you can do the math there. I'm sorry. I had a lot to talk about. I had a lot of thoughts and opinions on it. I had a lot more than I thought I did. I actually thought I didn't update you guys enough, but that's not true. I just adore it. It's some of the best action I've ever read, and it's some of the best fantasy sequences I've ever read. The sequence of the water turning into steam, that's all I'll say. That's not really a spoiler, but it could be if you knew the context, but if you didn't know the context, you wouldn't know. Was fucking phenomenal and lives rent-free in my mind. This was a 5. Highly recommend. I could not recommend Throne of Glass enough. I do have to say, and I will mention it, I recommend starting with the Assassin's Blade. A lot of people don't, and I'll eventually put out like what I think you should read the guide for Sarah J. Maas's eventually. I do recommend starting with the Assassin's Blade and going from the Assassin's Blade to Throne of Glass. There is like a bit of a reading point there because the writing goes down, because Sarah J. Maas wrote Throne of Glass when she was 16 and the Assassin's Blade when she was like 22. The characters and stuff and how much of a they play, and knowing that entire story and seeing Selena's arc from that entire place, I just think builds out her character better, and she doesn't get put into archetype. So a lot of people end up not liking Selena character by the end. I personally did, and I loved it. I can't tell you my favorite ship. I was going to kind of promote it even more, but I can't do that. The next one we're talking about is the Friends Book of List, the official guide to all characters, quotes, and memorable moments by Michelle Morgan. This is one of those books that you're just like, why'd you read that? My mom bought it. We had a rough month. My mom bought it. I've looked through it. I read most of it, to be honest with you. I didn't rate it. I mean, if you like Friends and you want a coffee book, I think this is a great coffee table book. If you like Friends and you're okay with Friends. Then we have Come Closer by Sarah Rand, and this is the last one I've talked about. This is about a girl who feels like she's being possessed. She thinks she's being possessed, and it's about her journey. And let me tell you, this one was a fucking shocker. I went into this, and most of the book I was like, this is a 2.5. The writing's pretty good, the character's pretty good, the flow is really nice, and the actions are actually really cool. There's just something about it that I was just like, this is not doing enough, even though like it was. I just couldn't tell you, for me personally, what it wasn't doing. The end totally blew that away. I think I might do one of the analytic videos that I've done in the past where I've talked about endings of books or scenes before, and we might talk about the ending of Come Closer. Let me know if you guys read it before and you guys want me to do something like that. Maybe I'll do it for TikTok. I don't know. That is something in my mind because it was just so shocking. But with that being said, that's all the books I read in May. By far my favorite book I read was Kingdom of Ash. By far my least favorite book I read this month was probably the Some for a While Built, or if we're talking about rereads, Fault in Our Stars, obviously, but I think either or are good enough. Let me know if you guys' least favorite or best are in the comments. And how is your reading going this year? We're about to hit the halfway mark. We're only a few months out. I am not close enough to where I want to be, and that's all I have to say. Normally I'm about almost 100 books so far, and we have so many books to go. We will see where the rest of the year takes us, and I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.